Here we have Zephyr Teachout, a tweet from her from actually in late July. So I'm way behind on this one, but this is still important nonetheless. So her tweet reads: If you are not in New York, you have no idea what a big deal it is that a block of newly elected lawmakers is publicly calling out leadership of the Senate and Assembly, demanding they stop letting Cuomo write the budget. A wall just
It,
came down.
just so you know, so Zephyr Teachout's an attorney and she's an author, and she also ran against Cuomo. Oh, sorry, no, she didn't run against Cuomo. She ran previously for office.
Okay.
So she's still an advocate. She's still like now she's a Bernie Sanders delegate for the DNC, and she's definitely an activist, and she's in like she's a big name. This kind of stuff. If you're familiar with New York state politics or even general politics, like national politics, she comes up definitely.
Yeah,
Um,
she's a bit of a progressive hero from what I hear. Correct.
yep,
And I believe
yep,
she wrote a letter calling out the DNC, if I'm not
yes,
mistaken. And
yeah. That's a whole that's a
I
lot of
know that's
story.
it's not that it's neither here nor there. It's to me, it's more that um, Bernie Sanders' campaign. Uh, did they denounce it or did they? I forget exactly what they did, but they.
Basically like a slap of the hand. Like don't you can't say
Yeah,
anything.
I just don't know why the. I don't know
Like,
why.
they were not
Bernie.
supportive. Let's just say that they were not supportive of Zephyr Teachout calling out the DNC. They were not supportive of it. It would just make any sense.
It's just
Um,
weird to me because what we need is more criticism of the DNC. Like we need
I
more
mean,
people to be aware of
it should have been
continue.
all out once Bernie tweeted we're running against the Republican establishment and the Democratic establishment. It should have been
Yeah,
like, I mean, if that wasn't the thing, I mean, there's many signals before that, like a whole 2016 cycle.
right, right.
But like, come on. But this is good news. This is great news. Um,
No, this is good news. This isn't. It's not bad news. What we're looking at right here is very good news. What Zephyr Teachout is talking about. We're going to actually jump into it on the next slide. So this is just those documents in their less blurry or more clear form, depending on your preference. And I'm actually going to jump to the next slide where I actually grabbed the what I thought were the most important segments of of those documents. And so, first of all, this is signed by the progressive candidates, correct? So Jessica Gonzalez, Rojas. Do you want to talk about some of these candidates?
oh yeah, yeah. So a bunch of people won assembly, state
Right,
assembly. So New York State
right,
Assembly.
right.
A bunch of progressives. My, I'm gonna butcher these names. Please forgive me.
Yeah, no, no problem.
Marcella Mitaines, she's Marcella Mitaines. She's a tenant organizer. She's endorsed by Democratic Socialists and Working Families. She beat Assistant Speaker Felix Oritz, and she's been the seat, that seat, since not specifically that seat, but she's definitely been a Brooklyn seat since 1994. And then Farah Sofrant Forrest, she's a nurse and a tenant activist. She beat another assembly member, and Zohan Mamdani, who's a Muslim, who's a housing counselor. Emily Gallagher, activist, and Jennifer Rajkumar, sorry, a human rights and immigration lawyer, and then Jessica Gonzalez Reyes, who's also, that's a kind of big, the name that you just said, community organizer, and also Amanda Septimo. Uh, she's a community organizer too. They all got assembly. It's crazy. New York
Really
State like
awesome.
went super progressive,
And what
and then
about
like
you?
from
You
the
mentioned
Congress
Jessica
side, got
Gonzalez, right?
yeah, yeah. Yes, that's her. And then from the Congress side, you got Jamal Bowman, who's a principal, and then Mondaire, who is also progressive. I mean, we didn't win every race. I was hoping for some people. Emily Gallagher was like super down, and then all of a sudden, like because like there was a mess about absentees, and finally the court like passed them, but it was a complete utter mess. but and Trump's even using the voting problems that Cuomo created, and that like the people are those people who actually made those problems are pushing to for, and the court and denounced them anyway. Trump's actually saying, "Oh, look, there's voter fraud here, so we can't run it," which is just ridiculous.
Oh, jeez.
Um, anyway, this is good
Dude,
news. We're
the
gonna
amount of a
hold.
stink that they make over voter fraud in the United States. There were like 4 confirmed cases of voter fraud in 2016, and they go
It
ape
was,
shit.
you know, what's ironic
But
is the people like you got members in Trump's family doing voter fraud. They're
right.
like two different states, and stuff like
Oh
that.
my
So
god.
it's just like, okay,
The just
because like everybody else who does voter fraud and everybody else who votes by mail. Anyway, I'm interrupting. Sorry.
the just duplicitous mendacity of that family, and everything that they say is just completely just there's always a completely contrarian. By the way, have you ever seen like how for every single thing that Donald Trump says in his past, there is a completely opposite thing that he has said? If you just comb his Twitter timeline, you can just see like all the things that he's said that just make or just completely contradict anything that he says today. But anyway, I just didn't want to bring him up.
Yeah, yeah, you don't have to. You shouldn't.
Yeah, no, it's totally
Not
fine.
until it's time to like blow up on them. They're blowing up on Cuomo right now.
Right, it's unbelievable. So, um, so anyway, just to move on, I just wanted to read the left side here. So you have the undersigned candidates who either won the Democratic nomination or are currently undergoing the absentee count ran on a progressive platform on transparency, equity, and justice and are writing to urge you to pass S8198 slash A9100, the Budget Equity Act. This legislation amends Article 7 of the New York State Constitution to give the legislature equal powers to the governor in the annual budget process. If adopted by the voters in the November 2021 general election, which I'm guessing it will be, uh, this
We'll
amendment
see.
would, among other positive changes, give us as members of the legislature the power to modify or substitute items of appropriation and the power to add, delete, modify, or substitute any new legislation actions that are now forbidden. So this is very very big and very good news if voters actually end up voting for this in 2021. I'm not 100% sure if this is guaranteed to be on the 2021 ballot. Do you know if that's the case or
I don't know yet, but Cuomo is already fighting this. So
so
he's already like, I'm gonna paraphrase him. He's already talking about because everyone wants to tax. It's like they want to raise taxes on rich people because they keep saying, "Oh, the yacht you're gonna buy, we're gonna like discount your yacht. We're gonna you don't have to pay taxes on the yacht as much as you should have."
oh my
Like,
god.
yeah, you need to pay. They need to pay taxes. Billions of people, billionaires here that made billions of dollars
Right.
during a pandemic. Like that, none of that money should be taxed.
It's
Like,
really crazy how much money they've made over the last 6 to 8 months because of this pandemic. I mean, well, like 6 months because of this pandemic. It's I mean, and it's just going to keep going up, unfortunately. I mean, people are really struggling. They need quick and dirty access to supplies, and a lot of those supplies come from these billionaires, because they have monopolized or they have created an economic environment that makes it nearly it makes it financially or economically like not feasible for people to go onto other platforms to get those products. Otherwise, they might be spending more than they need to for that product. Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
I get what you mean. Yeah, I get what you mean.
anyway, it's just really sad to see that happen to the people of this country, and just to see the Democratic establishment and the Republican establishment just be completely on board for it. So you can see, right here, if the legislature does not pass this bill by the end of July, the earliest that the amendment could go on a statewide ballot would be November 2023. In other words, we have a choice of one more year of an unfair budget process or another 3 years of the current system. So both houses must pass 3 months before this year's November 3rd election. So I think they actually, this is actually supposed to be passed. Otherwise, it's going to be another 3 years of this. So we might need to look
Yeah.
into that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we should definitely double check. That's
Oh,
one thing we
geez.
didn't check.
So anyway, I'm gonna get rid of this laser pointer. We'll move on to the next slide. And so I wanted to read one more thing. We can no longer pretend that there is, this is the second paragraph on the right side, we can no longer pretend that there is some solution that does not involve asking the richest among us to pay their fair share. Failing to do so means more cuts to schools, cuts to hospitals, cuts to transit, infrastructure, safety net, senior programs, and on and on. And the impact of these cuts will mean a stop to any recovery so that more people will suffer longer and longer while we wait for a farcical trickle-down rebirth that will never arrive. And, just don't even get me started on trickle-down. It's such a piece of garbage. I don't know who or why it fooled anybody in this country to think that, rich people would be their saviors. It's never made any sense to me, but it's just something that people seem to be able to get away with. It's just platitudes.
Something has been going around. It's pretty obvious. Like, it's been going around since, forever. Like, bosses don't need workers. Bosses need workers. Workers don't need bosses.
Right.
If you want to put it that way, they're not. We're actually technically their bosses because there's more people and they're supposed to represent us.
Everything is so ass backwards. It's really bananas, man. You have people that delegate work who make 2 to 3, sometimes 4, 5, 6 times more than people who are actually doing the work. They're actually producing the products. They're actually doing the labor required to put out the products. It's very bizarre to me how this system, I don't know when it's going to change or when that aspect, I know that's a completely different story, but when that aspect of things is going to change. But we just, I think the crux of it to me is that we need the more wealthy people of our society. And I'm not saying it needs to be people necessarily right in that middle class bracket, but these ultra billionaires, these ultra millionaires, people who have like hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds, or at this point there are a couple of people who have over $100 billion in the United States. Those people need to start paying more taxes.
You got to start paying taxes, period.
Right.
They're not paying anywhere near their fair share.
Yeah, a lot. And then when you get to a certain level of wealth, you start to earn passive income, which is taxed at a lower rate than someone who works a 40-hour job at Walmart. So I don't really understand. Warren Buffett has even been quoted saying that his housemaid pays more taxes as a percentage of income than Warren Buffett makes. So there really is something wrong in this society. And if even Warren Buffett, a ultra billionaire, is saying something like that, then I just don't understand. But the problem is that everybody lobbying Congress, nobody's lobbying Congress to raise taxes. You know why? It's because it's people with money go lobby Congress. It's not poor people don't even get to go to the Congress to lobby. So they're shown the door as soon as they get there. So anyway, so that's we're gonna let's move on from there.
Yeah, let's keep going.